the things we do when it hurts you. I'll never understand why we're at a place in our lives where we're tired of all the lies and the pain you feel inside. We want to make it right.
I have nothing else to give except my life.
Lord, please accept this offering. I present my body, my sacrifice. Holy God.
Brought it back to you. With my hands lifted high. I give you my heart.
I give you my
And I give you my life. I don't mean to be emotional, but sometimes I cry when I think of all the pain that I caused you inside.
But you still love me.
Still love me.
See, you still love me.
You still love me.
7 times 70, yeah. You forgive me, and you do this daily.
You do this daily.
I don't ever want to take advantage of your grace and the sacrifice you made. I gotta make it right.
I have nothing else to give except my life.
Oh, please accept my offering. I present my body, my sacrifice. Holy.
I'm running back to you with my hands lifted high. I give you my heart and I give you my life. I don't mean to be emotional, but sometimes I cry when I think of all the pain that I caused you inside. I'm running back to you with my hands lifted high. I give you my heart and I give you my life. I don't mean to be emotional, but sometimes I cry when I think of all the pain that I caused you inside. I'm running back to you with my hands lifted high. I give you my heart and I give you my life. I don't mean to be emotional, but sometimes I cry when I think of all the pain that I caused you inside. But you still love me.
See, you still
You
love me.
still love me.
See, you still love me.
You still love me.
Oh,
Oh, you still love me.
yeah. Your love is unbelievable. Your love is so amazing. Your love is unconditional. Your love is unbelievable. Your love is so amazing. Your love is unconditional. You say
Your love is unbelievable.
Your
Your love is so amazing. Your love is unconditional. Your love is unbelievable. Your love is so amazing. Your love is unconditional. Your love is unbelievable. Your love is so amazing. Your love is unconditional. Your love is unbelievable. Your love is so amazing. Your love is unconditional.
But at the end of the day, He loves me. At the end of the day, He loves me.
day, he loves me.
He loves.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, he loves me.
He loves.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, he loves me.
He loves.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, he loves me.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, he loves me.
He loves me.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, he loves me.
He loves.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, he loves me.
He loves.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, he loves me.
And I don't mean to be emotional. Sometimes I'll cry when I think of all the pain that I caused you inside. I don't mean to be emotional. It makes me cry when I think of all the pain that I caused you inside. But you still love me.
We're not going to prolong the time. If you get your Bible, we're going to the book of Mark, the 5th chapter. Very, very familiar chapter. And studying the last few weeks on this trust in God, because as pastor, I've been going through something. Sometimes you may have a few pains and aches in your body. You may feel depressed. You may feel like nobody understands what you're going through with. But the word this morning is trust God. Look at your neighbor and say, trust God. Now, I didn't say your neighbor now. Don't trust your neighbor now. Don't trust your brothers and sisters now, because they may let you down. Sometimes they want something in return. But I got to trust God because he knows my needs. Like I said, he gave me a word. And I started looking at my situation, trying to determine why I'm at the point I am in life. God gave me a word. He said, my destiny is tied to my decision. Some of the decisions you made, that's why we are in this, where we are now sometimes. When I thought about my destiny was decided by my decision that I made, I started thinking if I want a better destiny, I got to make some better decisions. So I don't know about you, tell your neighbor, you might have to make some better decisions. I know you don't want to tell them that because sometimes we have made some mistakes ourselves in life when we start going through. So much is predicated on the decision that we make. You might be like me. I'm sure that you've been watching all the stuff that go on TV, the riots, the shooting, and see the incident that happened in Moultrie, the people getting killed. I discovered every one of those incidents that happened, the common denominator is based on the decision that people make. Somebody could have made a better decision the other day in some of the things they do. I know when I'm talking to sometimes young people that's gone to jail, they wish they have not pulled that trigger. They wish they had not went and picked up that drug. They wish they had not been driving the car drunk. They wished a lot of things, but the decision you made. I was looking at the incident where the police treated this little girl like an adult. He handled this little girl in the classroom. I thought about this could have been avoided if someone would have made a better decision. I know if this little girl would have decided to put the phone down and listen to the teacher, and that if the teacher would have decided not to treat this little girl and let the principal handle the situation, and then if the police would have showed up and treat the girl with respect, and it could have went a whole different way. But the decision that we made, some of the stuff that we could have avoided in our life, but we made some bad decisions. But we don't want to admit when we made bad decisions. I spoke a few days ago about this woman who had made a decision to try God, that had this issue of blood for 12 long years. She grew worse because she used up all her money trying to go to different places and different doctors, and now she's getting broke, and she wasn't feeling no better. finally she had to make a decision. I need to try God. I mean, so this week we want to talk about another man that in the book of Mark, the 5th chapter and the 21st verse, through the 24th verse, and then all down to the 35th verse. And if you have your Bible or your iPad or your iPhone, just follow me. When Jesus had crossed over again by the boat to the other side, a great multitude gathered to him, and he was by the sea. And behold, one of the rulers of the synagogue came, Jairus by name, and when he saw him, fell at his feet and begged him earnestly, saying, My little daughter lies at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her that she may be healed, and she will live. So Jesus went with him, and a great multitude followed him and throwing him. And you get down to the 35th verse. While he was still speaking, someone came up from the ruler synagogue house who said, Your daughter is dead. Why? I mean, that's trouble right there. Why trouble did the teacher, they said, don't bother him anymore. As soon as Jesus heard those words, he spoke, Don't be afraid, only believe. Look at your neighbor, say, only believe. And he prepared no one to follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. And he came to the house of the ruler of the synagogue and saw them tormenting, and he saw them weeping and wailing loud. When he came in, he said to them, Why make this commotion and weeping? The child is not dead, but sleeping. And they ridiculed him. They started laughing at him. But he took the father and the mother and the child and those who were with him and entered where the little girl lied. He took the little girl by the hand and said to her, Little girl, I say to you, arise. Immediately the girl rose and walked, and she was 12 years old of age, and they were overcome with great amazement. But he commanded them strictly that no one should know it, and said that something should be given to her to eat. Tell your neighbor to trust God. You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. We're going to teach for a few minutes, but I want you to walk away knowing that if you trust God, everything going to be all right. Our text shines on the spotlight on this decision maker here in the 5th chapter of Mark. This man named Jairus, he's being forced, he's being pushed, he's promised, he prompt to make a decision, and the decision is to trust God. Trusting God is not always easy. Y'all know that? Trusting God is not always easy, because sometimes when your bills and due, you ain't got no money. Sometimes it's just hard to trust God. Sometimes you know you got pains in your body, and you know you're in prayer, but sometimes it's hard to trust God. I'm just being real. I'm the pastor. It's hard to trust God sometimes. See, I know you put a little makeup on and you come to church and shout and jump like everything is all right, baby. Some things going on in your life that you know is hard to trust God. You might not admit it. Trusting God is not always easy. Sometimes we make it seem like it's so easy to trust God, but sometimes it's hard to trust God. Sometimes it's hard to put all of the trust and confidence in God. Here is a man named Jairus, just like many of you here this morning. You're struggling to trust God. Whether you have to admit it or not, you can admit it or not. I'm talking to someone right now who can relate what Jairus is in the text, because if the truth be told, there's areas in your life that you need help, because you know sometimes it's hard to trust God. You know scriptures, you have heard testimony from brothers and sisters. You've seen how God have done so many miracles in the Bible, but it's still hard to trust God. Even I read about it. My brothers and sisters told me how God did it for them, but it's still hard for me to believe that sometimes. But when it comes to the time when hearing all those good words and reading all this, but applying it to my life is difficult. It might be easy to you, but it's difficult. So I'm a realist. I don't play games. I be real. Sometimes it's hard to trust God. Yeah, Jairus is struggling to trust God, but I suggest the primary reason for his struggle was the person he was. Look at what kind of person Jairus was. The Bible says Jairus was the ruler of the synagogue. He was not just an ordinary person, but he was a person of powerful prestige. He had a position. He was the ruler of the synagogue. William Barclay, a commentary, he explained the ruler job very distinctly and tried to give me a better understanding of what it means. Ruler of the synagogue means he was over the synagogue. He was one of the most prominent people in the community. He was very well respected in the community. He was the president of the board of the elders. His responsibilities was to oversee every activity and worship service in the synagogue. Jairus was an important figure. He was a mover. He was a shaker, a person of power and prestige. I want to suggest it was his title that made it tough to trust in God. He had a hard time trusting God because he was not used to depending on people to solve his problem. He was in position to solve problems for other people. He was not used to asking people for help, not used to falling down at somebody else's feet. He used to people falling down at his feet. He was not used to pleading with people. He used to people pleading with him. He was not used to going to the man because he was the man. Jairus' title made it tough to trust God because he was a person of resource. He solved problems for people. Everything Jairus wanted, he had it at his hand. However, Jairus had a problem that made him forget about his position. The problem he had made him forget about the person he was. God can allow you to have trouble in your life, problems in your life that will make you forget your position. God can't allow you to go through trouble in life that make you forget about your title that you have behind your name. God can let you go through things in life that make you forget about the degree and the education that you have. Jairus had a problem, and what made it worse, his problem was a household problem. Somebody say household problem. Yeah. In verse 23, he went to Jesus and told Jesus about the problem he had. His little girl was sick, laying at the point of death. What made Jairus come to Jesus in desperation was the fact that he had a problem in his household. Some of you got some problems in your household. I already know that. Can I just don't you don't have to raise your hand because you might be sitting beside that problem that you have. Just wink your eye at me. Say, Pastor, just wink your eye because I don't want them to get offended because you got the problem beside you now. Household problems are hard to deal with. Household problem will let you have a house that you don't want to go home to. Household problem will make you take the long route home. Household problem will let you get home and sit in the driveway and before you go in the house. Household problem will make you sit in the driveway and talk to yourself before you go in the house. Household problem and make you go to work early and come home late. Household problem will let you get happy because you got a traffic jam that you ain't got to hurry home. Jairus, he has a household problem. But the good news, Jesus was willing to go home with Jairus. That's a good time to give God praise because actually in verse 34 suggests that Jesus is willing to go where you are or where your problem is. What the text is teaching us that when the problem can't come to Jesus, Jesus is willing to come to the problem. What the text is saying, wherever you are or whatever you're going through, if you trust God, God will meet you at the point of your need. I don't know what you're going through with. I don't know if it's financial. I don't know a marriage problem. I don't know if your problem's on your job, but Jesus will come to you. Jairus in verse 24, Jairus is excited because Jesus is going home with him. Jairus is excited because he has a yes in his pocket. He's excited because God has consented to stop what he's doing and leave where he was at to go home with him. Can you have imagination and how excited Jairus is at that time? Can't you just picture him, Jesus walking beside him? His daughter is still sick, but Jesus is on the way home with him. So he still had the household problem, but the panacea of his problem is walking right beside him. His daughter is still sick, laying at the point of death. But the good news, Jesus is walking right beside him. Can you imagine how hope sprung up in his life? He got a pep in his step. He got a glide in his stride because he knows Jesus is walking with him. No. The problem is not solved yet, but the good news, the master is walking with me. The narrative is still the same, but the good news, in a few minutes when Jesus get home with me, my daughter gonna be healed. The good news is my daughter's still sick, but the good news, I got Jesus. I got the master with me. I don't know what kind of problem you got, but I'm saying if you pull Jesus in on it with you, he'll take care of that problem for you. This is where things get kind of rough because that's how it is in our life because Jesus is going home with Jairus. 7 things happen. Jairus, he's trying to trust Jesus, but his trust is getting ready to be tested. Sometimes God will test your faith. I don't know about you, but sometimes God will test your faith in seeing that you believe in what you're reading about, believe in what you're singing about, believe in what you're talking about. Yeah. In this life, God will trust, he will test your faith. Anybody can admit there's time in your life where your faith had been tested. I don't know. 3 things in Jairus' life that tested his trust in God. First thing, it was a wait that was necessary. The Bible tells us that as they were walking back to Jairus' house, there was an unscheduled interruption. And Jesus is going home with Jairus, and he happy because Jesus is going home with him. And this woman cut the line, stopped Jesus from walking home to his problem. This woman, then she jumped the line, she cut in front of Jairus, and now he forced to have to wait on the Lord while he's talking to this lady. He's trying to tell Jesus, my daughter is dying, and this woman is holding you up. There's nothing more frustrating than waiting on God to come through with you sometime. Jairus' daughter is dying, and his delivery is delayed. Here it is. Jesus is taking this time trying to figure out who touched him. And all this crowd, who touched him? And Jairus is waiting patiently on the Lord to finish dealing with this woman with this issue of blood, waiting on Jesus to finish talking to him because he's trying to tell Jesus, my daughter is dying. I don't need nothing to hold you up. I'm going through right now. It was a very frustrating time for Jairus. Anyone who ever had to wait on the Lord can testify. It is those moments when we had to wait on God that the devil would play mind games on us. I don't know he played mind games, but the devil would play mind games on. He'll say you ain't got the faith, you ain't saved. He'll play all kinds of mind games. It's those times when we are waiting on God to come through for us, the devil will try to make us feel that God is not going to come through. The first thing the devil does, he calls us to start worrying. I don't know about you, but sometimes the devil, I get the worry when things ain't going right. He starts worrying whether or not God going to come through, whether or not God going to deliver, whether or not this is the thing that God got for my life, worrying whether or not God is going to step in and turn this situation around. Then our worrying give birth to our wavering. We start wavering. One moment we believe in, one moment we doubt, one moment we crying, the other moment we hoping. One minute we trust in God. Is God going to come through? The next minute we wonder, God, where are you? Why have thou forsaken me? I don't know about you. Worrying give birth to wavering. Then wavering give birth to wondering. And now we are moving out of the situation of the place that God have us to be. Sometimes God trying to build our character, but we moving out the way. God ain't did it yet. I'm going to try to fix it myself. We are messed up people. Sometimes we do it. We are trying to do it ourselves. You ain't God do it, the one that the master over all of this, all the problem. But now you trying to handle it. If God have you in a season of waiting, it's not time for you to start worrying or wondering or wavering. But it's time for you to start watching God come through for you, because I discovered every time that God delayed, his delay is to develop me. God is doing something for me on the inside. There are times God will delay to walk in your situation just to let you see him work in someone else's situation. There are times he would delay from me to give me time to see him work the miracle in somebody else's life, because the way he builds strength in me and character in me is by blessing someone around me. There are times when God will bless somebody else that's going through the same thing that I'm going through with, just to teach me and build my faith up sometimes. God will allow you to have the same issue as your neighbor, and God will heal your neighbor, and they going through he got the same sickness that you got. He's trying to build your faith. But there's no secret what God can do. What he done for others, he can do it for me. I believe one of the reasons why Lord took his time with this woman issue is because this woman and Jared had 7 things in common. Number one, both of them had an issue. Both had issue that was 12 years old. Both had an issue that pushed them to Jesus' feet. Both of them had an issue that they had to dealt with today. Jared wanted him to deal with his daughter's situation today, but this woman over here wanted Jesus to deal with her situation today. When Jesus stopped to deal with this woman 12 years of issue, he was inadvertently speaking to Jared. Jared watched, she got the thing for 12 years. Watch what happened to her. It might build your faith when I go see your daughter. Listen, we know that it's just as I hear this woman with the 12 issues of blood, the issues of blood, I can hear your situation. God is saying for me to tell you that just like he healed someone else with cancer, he can heal you with cancer. Just like he delivered somebody else's child from going to jail, he can deliver your child from going to jail. Just like he healed somebody else's relationship, God can heal your relationship. God is waiting and willing to come to your need. That's not the time to start hating on your neighbor. You know, people start hating when God blessed somebody else first. Why he got that car, or how God blessed him with that job. I've been in church 20 years, and she just got in church, and that man just joined the church, and he going with her. I've been here all the time waiting on the husband. I ain't gotten in yet. I'm going to leave that alone. That's a whole nother message. I'm going to leave that alone. That is time for you to get excited about what God is doing for your neighbor. If God bless my neighbor, it means that God is in my neighborhood. He's getting ready to bless me. And if he blesses you, that means he's going to bless me. It's just a matter of time for God to turn my situation around. Here it is. Jairus had to wait. Tell your neighbor, sometimes you got to wait. I know you want it to happen right now. I know you want that man to come right now. I know you want that woman to come right now. I know you want that job to come right now, but sometimes you have to wait. Waiting is sometimes, I tell you, the devil, like I say, he'll play mind games on you. You may not want to hear this, but sometimes somebody on the sound of my voice, you experience a necessary wait. You may not want to hear this, but God said, you got to wait. Tell your neighbor, you got to wait now. I don't care how much you pray. I don't care how much you cry. I don't care how much you fast. I don't care how much you come up here and sing. Sometime you got to wait. I don't care how much oil you use. I don't care how much motor oil, baby oil, cooking oil. Baby, sometime you got to wait. You can't hurry God, you just gotta wait. He's a God you can't hurry. He will be there, don't you worry. He may not come when you want him, but baby, he's right on time. Number one, Jairus' trust is tested by a necessary wait. Second, his trust is tested by a negative word. Verse 35 says, when Jesus and Jairus finally get to the house, the word came saying, it's too late. It's too late. Leave Jesus alone. Your daughter already dead. The word that from the house saying, Jairus, leave Jesus alone. But the time Jesus and Jairus get there, the word is too late. While Jesus was delaying with his daughter, your daughter died. While he was delaying with this woman over here with that issue of blood, Jairus, your daughter is died. So it's over. Don't worry about it. The word is, if Jesus had been on time, everything would have been all right. But it's too late. Tell your neighbor it's not too late. Tell your neighbor it ain't too late yet. He's coming. It's coming. There's a miracle coming. The blessing is coming. It's not too late. That is a negative word, and the word is testing his trust in God. But that is the good news in the text, because there's another word. And the word is found in verse 36. And the Bible says Jesus turned to Jairus and said, trust me. Trust me. Just trust me and believe in it. Don't miss this now. There are two words. Jairus is here and in his ear. One word in verse 35 and one word in verse 36. So sometimes we don't read the whole story. We just look at the first part of it. But in verse 35, the word is factual. He said, it's too late. Your daughter is dead. It's a word. It's true. The daughter has died. But in verse 36, you kept on reading. The word is you got to have faith, because Jesus said, trust me. Trust me. How here Jairus, he's torn between two things. And sometimes the devil will play mind games on you. Should I do this? Should I do that? But in verse 35, it's too late. Verse 36 says, trust me. The first word, leave Jesus alone. Your daughter's already there. The second word, keep on believing in me. Trust me. Everything gonna be all right. There is someone here today on the sound of my voice. You're in a tug of war. You one way pulling you one way, some pulling you the other way. Facts say that you got cancer in your body, but faith said that by your stripe, his stripe, we are here. Facts say that you can't afford to give your tithe and offering because your bills are already behind, but faith said God will open up the windows of heaven and pour out you a blessing that you won't have room to receive. Faith says you've been crying all night long, but faith says weeping may endure for a night, but joy coming in the morning. Faith say you got haters on your jaw, but faith say no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Facts say mama and daddy may leave you, but when they leave you, Jesus will pick you up. Facts say you can't handle another issue, but faith says you can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. What word would you believe? What word you gonna believe? I don't know who I'm talking to, but someone here torn between two words. Can I suggest to stop listening to all that stuff? Listen to the word of faith. You can't always go by facts. You can't always go with, sometimes the doctor tell you all that. I don't mind going to the doctor sometimes, but I can't let them put me on all this kind of medication sometimes. Sometimes I just want to go and find out what I got to be praying for. What specific I need to be praying for. Facts are you are not a fictional person. You're a spiritual person. Sometimes you have to ignore the facts and live by faith. The Bible says the just does not live by facts, but the just shall live by what? I wish I had some Bible readers here. You got to live by faith. Here it is. The Lord gives Jairus a word, and the word is keep on believing. It's a hard thing to do for Jairus. What tested his trust is this negative word. What the Lord is trying to do is deepen his dependence. The Lord is trying to move Jairus from the trusting of the touch to the trusting of the talk. I looked at that, read that tip the other day. I didn't get that. He want to get you away from the touch of his hand, but the believing of his word. Early in the text, Jairus said, Lord, come with me and lay your hand on my daughter, and I believe that she will live. Jairus had faith in the touch. He felt if Jesus would have touched the problem, everything would be all right. But the Lord is trying to move Jairus from the touch to the talk, from his work to the word. Jesus is trying to get Jairus to believe that the same power that's in my touch is the same power that's in my talk. If you just believe me for what I'm saying, believe me from the words that's coming from my mouth, what Jesus was trying to say, that I don't have to go home with you, Jared. I can lay my hands on your daughter. I can speak a word from across town, and your daughter can be healed. God has given me a word to give to you this morning, that he's in the process of turning your situation around. You just got to believe. See, now you would have believed if I came lay my hands on you. But I just said God in the situation of turning your situation around, and you don't even really believe it. You wait for me to come out there, lay my hands on you, and call you out, say, God going to do this for you, but I just told you what the word said. You got to trust God for the word. You don't need a touch when God is giving you a word, and the word is everything going to be all right. Jairus is struggling to trust God because it was a necessary wait, number one. Number two, he's struggling to trust God because of a negative word. And last but not least, he's struggling to trust God because he needs a wanderer. He need the Lord to do something that he never seen God do before. Jairus go to the Lord and tell him, my daughter is sick. Come home and lay your hands on her so she can recover. He needed the Lord to be a healer at that time. But the time Jesus get to the house, he don't need no healer because your girl is dead. He needed somebody to go beyond a healer. He now needs God to expose himself doing something that he have never seen God do before in his life. Sometimes God has to allow you to go through something different just to expand your knowledge of who he really is. Jairus was familiar with the Lord healing, because all through the Bible you'll see that he was a healer. He had been doing healing all the time. But the Lord don't want Jairus to lock him into a certain scope of things, a limitation, what he can do. So what he had to allow Jairus' situation to get to the point, to get so bad that he had no reference that God can raise her from the dead. There's somebody here that you learned some stuff about God, that you know that God have done some stuff in your life that you never seen God done before. You are learning more and more about God and the framework of how God works in life. The stuff that God have revealed to you about who he is and what he can do is blown you away. What God have did some things for you, because you know you weren't educated enough to be working and doing the stuff that you were doing. You weren't smart enough to be doing the stuff that God just opened some doors up for you. You know you didn't have the credit to get the automobile that you had. You know you didn't have the credit to get the house that you know God have done some things for you that you hadn't seen doing before. You know that God was Jehovah Jireh, but you didn't know that you can sustain you when you're going through. You didn't know that he can lay hands. You can be laid off for weeks and at a time, and God still providing for you. But you had no idea that you can be laid off from January to November and still don't miss a meal. Still to get your hair done. Still getting your nail done. I don't know, is it COVID money? I don't know, is it food? I don't know how you doing it, but God always make a way. If God take care of Sparrow, that means he going to take care of me. No. You looking at me. You looking at me kind of funny. You still looking good. You still driving good. You still don't look like you missed no meal. You had no idea God can keep you healthy during that time. You know God can bless you general, but you didn't know God had this big scope of thing that God really is doing for you. That God is more than just a doctor. He's a healer. Jairus needed to have a revelation that God is more than just a healer. He can let things die in your situation and come back and turn things around. If there's somebody here, oh God, I pray your testimony is not over until God says it over. And that's what you got to believe. If it's not over till God says, the moment Jesus gets to Jairus' house, I'm getting ready to close, there's a problem in the house. The atmosphere was not conducive for a miracle. When they get to the house, they's weeping and wailing and mourning, all this turmoil going on in the house. And there was a level of confusion in the atmosphere. God is not the author of confusion. When you want God to perform a miracle in your household has to be conducive for a miracle. Jesus tested the atmosphere. Jesus said, the little girl is not dead. The girl is sleeping. He released the potential in the atmosphere, and the moment he released that potential in the atmosphere, folks start laughing at him. The reason why you know that you got the wrong folks in your life, when you talk to folks about your potential and what you plan on doing, and if they start laughing at you, those are the wrong folks to have in your life. You don't need folks in your life that don't laugh at your potential. You need folks in your life that the moment you declare and that what you want to do, what God is going to do in your life, and they confirm it and pray and agree with you, those kind of folks that you want in your life. You don't need people in your life talking about you behind your back. He think he can do that. He think he got that. No, I don't need folks in my life like that. No, I want folks in my life when I give them my plan of what God wants me to do, what God going to do, what I'm planning to do. I'm planning to have a nice home. I'm planning to have a nice job. I'm going to pursue my career. If they start laughing at you, baby, you don't need them folks in your life. No, let that go. Let that go. No. You got to have people in your life that believe like you believe, that can believe that there's nothing impossible for God. Turn to your neighbor and ask them, do you really believe? If they looked at you kind of funny, they might be one of them that laughing at you. But if they say, yeah, I agree with you, I believe God can do it, because the Bible says, well, 2 or 3 coming together and agreeing, it's going to happen. You got to get excited about what your partner is trying to tell you. If they get mad at you, and those are the wrong people to have around you. If they get excited about your potential, them are the kind of people that you need to have around you. The very moment Jared got to the house, Jesus cleared the house. He put everybody out. Get out. Put them out. Only 5 people went in the house. The mother, the father, Peter, James, and John. And those are the kind of people that you have to have around you. People that got invested interest in your potential. The mother and the father had an invested interest in that child welfare. And if you don't have an interest in me going to the next level, then you're the wrong people to be around me. If you are jealous of me, of the car that I'm driving, baby, you're the wrong person to be around me. If you're jealous of the house that I'm living in, you're the wrong people I don't need you around you. You can't roll with me. No. I need people that get excited about my future, because I'm getting excited about your future, because we the head and not the tail. I want to be the lender, not the borrower. I don't know about you. I'm excited about my future, and if they don't get excited, those are the wrong people that have behind you. Not only did Jesus have the father and mother, but Peter, James, and John, and because he had Peter, James, and John because of the anointing. If you don't have an anointing on your life, you can't be around me, because I got to have somebody with the anointing on their life. I don't care how fine you is. I don't care how tall you is. I don't care how your beard is shaped up. I don't care how your nails is done. Baby, if you don't have the anointing on your life, I don't need you around me. And the moment Jesus cleared the house, he took the problem by the hand, and the girl came back to life. No matter how dead a thing may be, the Lord is able to bring it back. If you got things going on and your marriage is about to die, I dare you to give it to God. God can bring that marriage back together. If you got cancer and about to die, I double dog dare you to put it in Jesus' hand. If you got a child that's struck out on drugs, hard-headed, disobedient, and won't listen to you, I dare you to give that child to God. God can turn that situation around. Tell your neighbor, no matter what you're going through, you got to trust God. Trust him when you can't trace him. Now, I got to trust God. If I trust him, everything going to be all right. Stand to your feet, tell your neighbor, trust God. When you leave here now, don't let that stay in the church. Carry that word with you. Trust God. I know it's stuff that you're dealing with, you're being tested. I know. Should I stay in the relationship, or should I let it go? Should I keep trying, or should I wave the white flag? The Lord told me to tell you it's just a test. He's trusting you. It's not supposed to be easy. Who said it's going to be easy? It's just a test. But if you pass the test, he will set you above. If you pass the test, he will keep you in perfect peace. But you got to decide whether you're going to trust him. If you trust him, everything going to be all right. Like I said, it looked easy because everybody seemed to be doing okay. But somebody said, walk and talk. You walk and talk. You can come in here smiling, but sometimes you go back home to the same issues. Some of you need God really to turn some stuff around. Some things on your job, sometimes you got backbiters on your job, people trying to get you fired. They laughing in your face, but they running up to the man telling him everything they can about you, trying to get you fired because of jealousy. But I'm going to trust God. I did that one day. I trust God because the human part of me will make me want to fight, get a gun. But God said, leave it in my hand. He can do a better job, Tiffany, than I can. And when he do it, he do a good job. Because when he do it, more time he'll move somebody out your way and he'll pick you up. And he'll raise you higher than you could have did for yourself. That's the kind of God I serve. No, trust God because he knows what the end going to be. We don't know what the end going to be, but it's a process. He's testing your faith. Give God a praise.
Hi, my name is Associate Pastor Tanya Harris Reese. Thank you for watching with us on today. If you would like a copy of this message, comment below or inbox us and our media team will get right back with you. If you would like to sow into the ministry, please mail a check to the address listed below or download the Giveify app and search America's Holiness Deliverance Temple. Stay connected with us through all our social media platforms. Thank you again for joining us, and we will see you next time.